Welcome back everybody to BeamNG.drive, and today we're looking at the CrashHard Classic mod, which is a V8 four-door sedan from 1932 to 1936, and this is the standard version, but there are other versions like a sport version and a drag version, but this standard version is still plenty powerful enough, and yeah, still able to get up to a good rate of speed to get into trouble. So yeah, as per usual, we're going to get this car going around the grid map, putting it through its paces in, you know, all sorts of obstacles and seeing how much it can take, and then we'll go on to the other side of the map and yeah, roll it over, blow it up and put it through a cinder block wall. So yeah, let's see what it can do. No stats on this in terms of horsepower or acceleration, unfortunately, but this is the way it goes with some mods. Can't always be helped. Yeah, I've tested this car plenty of times in my own time, and the two big things that have gone wrong with this have been wheels and steering, so yeah, got to look out for them with doing this. I've already been shaking about a fair bit of much, I've lost some bodywork. The suspension is quite bouncy, as you'd expect from such an old car, and yeah, the wheels are obviously quite exposed, which is why they're so vulnerable. Like a normal car where there's a lot of bodywork around them, we've only got those side skirts and then that's it. Let's see what else it can do. Oh, bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. One of the doors looks like it's coming away. Well, that didn't help while rolling over, obviously. Extremely bouncy. Lost the grill as well, which I think came off when we lost the license plate as well. Yeah, look at that front wheel, Jesus. It's bouncing up and down like nothing no tomorrow. And that rear right is looking extremely wobbly as well. Let's see if we can deal with another roll, well actually, another big jump. Whoa, hell, that's quite high. Ow, ow. Well, I've bent the chassis up, that's for sure. Have the wheels survived? Yes, they've somehow survived. Maybe the mod has been improved since I last used it, because that would have broken the old mod, or at least the version that I tried. Yeah, I seem to remember the front axle easily coming away in the version I tried. I think the radiator's gone though, so we are overheating. I didn't actually see that happen myself. Ow, 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 ow. And we're on our wheels. It's all fine. Restrict even more of the bodywork away, and the car is limping now that it's overheating. I am surprised that overheating might well kill this, because, like I said, I expected the wheels or the steering to go. It's put up more of a fight than I expected. Rear axle, or that, at least that rear wheel, is looking extremely suspect. There goes the exhaust. Still got steering. I wasn't expecting it after that bit though, to be honest. Come on. Any more power in this, come on. Rubber bearings are damaged, and there goes the engine. So yeah, surprisingly enough, despite my reservations about the wheels and the steering, it's actually the radiator that ultimately killed it by going and then overheating the engine. So yeah, I am surprised, but yeah, the rest of the car actually sustained a lot of damage, but still managed to keep going. So yeah, that is a surprise. So let's get to the other side of the map and see what we can deal with the rollover test. Obviously we did do some rollovers with the grid map bit, but I feel that these are more leisurely rolls, as it were, because they're not at the greatest of speed. Might well rip off some wheels. We saw that with the D-Series pickup in the last one, where the wheels were exposed like they are in here, and they broke off. That's what I was expecting to happen in the previous test, to be honest. The front axle coming off. So yeah, I am surprised that didn't happen originally, to be honest. Right, let's get onto the ramp. And let's see what happens. There's the barrels, there's the cinder blocks, cinder block wall even. So yeah, look, the wheels are going to get hit immediately, which is what I'm worrying about. Because it came off fairly quickly on that D-Series, which I guess wasn't a surprise given how exposed they were and how high the suspension is on those wheels, but I was hoping they'd stand up a little bit better. Looks like they might well do here. The fuel tank has been damaged. It's not a good sign. Oh, nearly came on our wheels there. Hopefully we'll be able to last the next 2 goes with what fuel we have. There goes more bodywork damage. Oh, I think that one of those wheels have snapped. I have to say the roof is holding up fairly well, given it's not got anywhere the near kind of protection of a modern car. Oh, very nearly came on our wheels again. Come on, we can make a third go if we get a move on. Somehow still have steering. Again, the wheels are looking extremely wobbly. Oh damn, we've run out of fuel. Can we drag it? I just don't think it's fair to completely fail this car purely because the fuel tank went. Well, that's not something we can pull with. Take a little while. Yeah, I figured the radiator would start leaking. Oh, dragging it by the front after all. Somehow we've got it here. Right. I know it's kind of a bit cheatsy, but we've never had a fuel leak before, and I feel like it going on the first go was a little bit unfair, so let's just give it a chance. It's not like we're going to be able to test out whether or not it's able to keep going, so might well be a bit of a failure, but we just see what it can do now on its third go. Yeah, those front wheels are looking suspect. yeah, that axle's completely come off. So even if it wasn't a fuel tank failure, it would have been a failure nonetheless. Yeah, that's exactly the kind of damage I was fearing before, because it's what I've seen numerous times happen to this car. But yeah, there we go. Even if it hadn't have lost its fuel tank, which is here in the wheel, which is what came off. Yeah, it's an extremely exposed fuel tank. It would have failed from the front axle coming off. So yeah, those wheels are not particularly strong, which is what I knew would happen. So, but didn't expect it to happen so for so long, to be honest, because I would have expected it to happen when we were doing the grid map bit. But yeah, let's see what happens when we blow this thing up with the CrashHard barrels versus the CrashHard Classic. Well, it's awesome bodywork. But it didn't throw it much in the air, which is what's ultimately saved this, I think. Yeah, the steering still moves mostly, and yeah, still able to drive forward. Obviously, without that debris in the wheel, it would have been easier to drive. But yeah, still a success there, far more so than some vehicles that we've had on this series. So let's finally see what happens when we go up against the cinder block wall. I imagine it'll do well here, but we've yet to really see the crash worthiness or the crash safety of this car so far. Pretty much 70 miles an hour there. Oh! Well, the windscreen's popped out, which is not a good sign, but the roof and the doors have pretty much stayed intact. We've lost a wheel. In fact, I think the whole front axle has come off, because that was quite a heavy impact. Yes, the whole front axle has come off. Under braking there, it just sheared off. So yeah, not really a success there in terms of the engineering aspects, but in terms of safety, that is pretty good. So yeah, I'd say that's about half and half on there. Pretty much like the Gavel D series from the previous episode, to be honest. But nonetheless, let's get onto the crash haul and see what this can do at 30, 40 and 60 miles an hour with a small overlap crash test. Right, so here we are at the crash haul, and like I said, we're doing small overlap crash tests at 30, 40 and 60 miles an hour. We've had some varying results with this crash test with other vehicles. Some have done better than others, some have been catastrophically bad. So let's see what I think is the oldest car that we've had on this series so far can do. Should do well here at the 30 mile an hour. This isn't fast, and we've seen that this car is quite strong in some respects. So yeah, I'm not expecting the wheel to sustain this, but the rest of the car should do so. But there's a weirdness about this car. A lot of the bodywork is just in the centre of the vehicle and not just to the offside. So even though we've technically got away with that, it's only really because the wheels are the only thing on the outside. But the doors have been peeled off, which is not good. And since there's no seat belts in these kind of cars, then yeah, you might well have been flung out. But overall, I'd say that's a success. So yeah, we might well have to point it a little bit more into the centre of the car, just to be a little bit fairer. Didn't realise that to start with, to be honest. But yeah, let's see what happens at 40. Yep, again, it's just grazing down the side. It's doing a lot of damage, obviously. We're taking wheels off and damage some bodywork, but it's really not having any impact on the people inside, which I guess is a safety feature if you think about it. But yeah, we're going to point it straight at the wall for this final 60 mile an hour impact, because it's, yeah, I think it's gotten away with a bit too much so far. It's just the oddity of the design, really. from the time. Yeah, that's a bit better, I think. Oh. Well, yeah. That's exactly the kind of impact that you do not want to be involved in. The whole chassis has curled back up on itself, and all of the forces have gone into the people inside. So, yeah. Steering wheel is where the driver would have been, and you got no airbags, no seatbelts, no nothing. So, yeah, that's instantaneous death. Obviously, the whole design of the car does mean that slight overlap crash tests are unlikely to damage it all that much, because it's likely just to go down the side, take out the wheels, take out the sideboard. But everything else might well be alright, but anything over the wheel is going to result in catastrophic damage and likely death. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't say that's a pass, to be honest, purely because, yeah, there's just no survivability whatsoever in there. So, yeah, nonetheless, let's get out onto the highway and see what this car can do against two similar kind of vehicles and one that really isn't. So here we are at the highway. I have no weight stats for this, so I've kind of just guessed, to be honest. So we're going to go up against the Burnside Aero Coupe, which is from the next decade over from this. So, yeah, let's see what it can do. No idea how well this drives in a straight line all by itself. Well, all things considered, I think that's done reasonably well. Again, you wouldn't have seatbelts or airbags with this, so you would probably fly through the windscreen or straight into the steering wheel, but all things considered, yeah, that's done that really nicely. Perhaps the softer Burnside Aero Coupe bodywork has helped that survive that, but the Burnside has hardly gotten away with that either, because, yeah, the doors have crumpled up, the roof has gone up, and the steering wheel has moved, but here it's relatively fine. So maybe the rock-hard chassis on the Classic here has used the soft front bodywork of the Burnside to really help it in terms of safety there. So yeah, that is pretty good. Because look at the Burnside, that is an absolute wreck. Obviously it wasn't 100% dead on, but either way that is fairly damaging. So yeah, let's see what it can do against another vehicle. Again, I don't have the weight stats, so I can't 100% guarantee it's going to be a 100 or a complete fair fight, but let's see. Let's go for the Solead Wendover. I think this might weigh around the same kind as that, to be honest. So we'll just go for the standard version. See, this is a lot newer, which is why it drives so straight. Pretty much dead on this time round. Again, the CrashHard Classic has just cut its chassis right through the softer, newer car. It's done a lot of damage to the Wendover there, and very minimal to the CrashHard. Separate them, but obviously they're quite welded together. Yeah, you're not going to get them apart, but yeah, the Wendover there has done very poorly. Obviously the steering wheel hasn't really moved, and you know that'd have driver, airbag and seatbelt most likely being used, so yeah, you would survive that, but the look of the roof and the bodywork overall just suggests that that's a fail, where obviously the CrashHard Classic has pretty much got away intact with that, but obviously I think the Wendover will be the safer car still, even despite all of that damage. But you have to admit, the CrashHard Classic is looking impressive against these newer vehicles, so yeah, I think we're going to have to put it through its paces, really. Let's give it an ETK to go up against. I'm going to make it a massive heavyweight version. As heavy as it can get, in fact. I don't think it's very much. Not as much as a 4 anyway. 3649, 3770. Well, 3770 is certainly heavier than any of the other vehicles that was used so far, so I guess that'll do. Come on, don't crash on me now, please. There we go. This is either going to be death or success. It's more death this time around. Yeah, the ETK is perfect. Pretty much perfect, yeah. Whereas the CrashHard Classic has suffered a lot more damage this time around. As we'll take a look. So yeah, the doors have come open, which didn't happen with the previous crashes. The window screen has cracked and moved inwards. This door has completely crumpled up. And yeah, the roof looks like it's taken a little bit of damage as well. Whereas with this ETK, as you can see, it's pretty much perfect inside. A lot of the crashes forces have resonated through the car to the rear as well though, because there's some broken windows and stuff. But yeah, overall the ETK has gotten away with that perfectly, whereas this has not. Again, the ETK would have airbags, it would have seat belts and the like, so you'd be perfectly fine in that. But again, despite the the lack of internal safety features on the CrashHard Classic, the overall outside of the car has survived remarkably well. I was expecting that to be a lot different, to be honest. But yeah, there we go. Obviously not everything is to be taken at face value. Yes, the people inside might well have suffered a great deal or even died in the CrashHard Classic, but the car itself has sustained a lot of damage, but still come through nicely. So yeah, there we go. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.